My name is Elena Moore, and for most of my life, I have been the person everyone assumes will quietly take care of things. I'm 32 years old, unmarried, childless, and according to my family, available to help, available to fill gaps, available to stay behind when everyone else moves forward. 3 weeks ago, that assumption finally shattered in a room full of witnesses. It happened at my parents' 40th wedding anniversary. The restaurant was called ***, the Glass Willow ***, a private event space overlooking the river in ***, Briarwood, Connecticut, ***. My mother had chosen it because the windows were floor to ceiling and reflected candlelight beautifully at night. She said it made everything feel timeless, which was her favorite word for anything that suggested success without showing effort. 30 people attended, friends from church, old neighbors, former colleagues of my father, a few distant relatives. Everyone dressed as if they were part of a lifestyle magazine's spread-pressed suits. Silk dresses, tasteful jewelry. I arrived early, as I always do, to help. I helped arrange the place cards. I fixed the floral centerpieces when one wilted. I coordinated with the server when the seating order didn't match my mother's. Handwritten diagram. By the time guests arrived, my feet already hurt. But I didn't mind. I rarely do. When you've spent your entire life being useful instead of visible, usefulness feels like safety. When my parents stood to make their announcement, champagne glasses already raised, my mother squeezed my father's arm with theatrical affection. She had practiced that gesture in the mere soft smile, proud tilt of the chin, the look of a woman who believed. She had one life, we have something exciting to share. My father said, his voice booming easily across the room. They announced the trip with flair. A week in Maui, my mother added, smiling at the reaction. The whole family. Applause filled the room. My younger sister Rachel gasped dramatically, clasping her hands to her chest. Her husband Evan laughed and kissed her cheek. Their 2 children, 5-year-old Lucas and 3-year-old Maya, clapped because everyone else was clapping. I smiled too. I really did. For the first time in years, I let myself imagine something indulgent. Warm sand under bare feet, the ocean humming instead of my mother's constant instructions. Mornings where I didn't wake up already needed by someone else. Without thinking, I asked a simple question. What time is our flight? The silence that followed was not accidental. My father looked at me as if I had interrupted him in another language. My mother's smile tightened, the corners of her mouth stiffening just enough for me to recognize the warning. You won't need the flight details, my father said slowly. I laughed awkwardly, assuming I'd misunderstood. Oh, sorry, I just meant... Alina, my mother cut in, her tone sweet and sharp at the same time. Someone has to stay back. The room went still. To watch the children, she added, as if explaining something obvious to a confused stranger. Rachel and Evan deserve a real vacation. 30 faces, 30 reactions, some awkward, some pitying, most politely detached. And just like that, I understood. I was not part of the family trip. I was the contingency plan. To understand why this moment broke something inside me, you have to understand the family I come from. The Moore family lives in a colonial-style house in a gated suburb just outside Briarwood. 4 bedrooms, 2-car garage, landscaping maintained to a level that suggests competition rather than preference. The kind of house that whispers, "We did everything right." My father, Thomas Moore, retired 3 years ago from a regional investment firm where he'd worked long. Enough to be respected, but never remarkable. My mother, Elaine, has never held a paid job. She prefers to say she managed the household, which includes church committees, neighborhood planning boards, charity luncheons, and maintaining what she calls the family image. Rachel, my sister, is 3 years younger than me and everything my parents value. She married well. She dresses well. She tells stories about being exhausted without ever appearing so. Her husband, Evan, is a corporate lawyer who drops his firm's name casually. like a signature accessory. They drive a luxury SUV that always occupies the driveway when they visit. My 10-year-old sedan is parked on the street. Alina, move your car, my mother says whenever Rachel comes over. People notice the driveway first. I move it. I always move it. This is how it starts, not with cruelty, but with small accommodations that slowly teach you where you belong. Or rather, where you don't. I am what my family calls helpful. Helpful means I arrive early and leave late. Helpful means I cook without being asked and clean without being thanked. Helpful means I don't take up space. I work part-time as a freelance bookkeeper. Remote clients, flexible hours, modest income. It's enough to live quietly, which suits everyone just fine. What my family doesn't know is that I have another life. One I've been building in silence for 3 years. Holidays in the Moore household are performances, and I am always behind the curtain. Thanksgiving means arriving before sunrise to prep the turkey. My mother's china white with gold trim is not to be used, only washed. I arrange the place settings, polish the silver, manage 7 side dishes so they all arrive at the table hot. Rachel arrives around noon, perfectly styled, kisses cheeks, and settles into a chair. Christmas is the same. Plus, wrapping gifts because my mother's. Arthritis flares up, conveniently when there's work to be done, but never when bridge night rolls around. Birthday parties for my niece and nephew, I'm the organizer, entertainer, cleanup crew, and emergency babysitter. Last year, I ran Lucas's dinosaur-themed party for 8 hours while Rachel got a manicure because she needed a moment. The one time I asked if I could skip a family event due to a work deadline, my mother's voice turned icy. Family comes first, Elena. We all make sacrifices, except only one of us ever seems to. The realization didn't hit all at once. It crept in during moments so small they were almost invisible, like the year. Rachel gave me an apron for Christmas. It said, "World's Best Aunt" in glittery letters. She smiled proudly when I opened it. I wore that apron every time I came over. I wore it while cooking, cleaning, babysitting. I wore it until the letters started peeling. And one random Tuesday night, while scrubbing a heavy enamel pot at my mother's sink, the truth finally settled in. I couldn't remember the last time anyone had invited me somewhere without expecting me to work. 3 years ago, my life fell apart in a different way. I had been dating Mark for 4 years. We talked about marriage, about children, about a future that seemed inevitable simply because it was discussed so often. One evening, he sat me down and said quietly, "I love you, but I don't think I'm in love with you anymore." I asked him why. "You're just there," he said. "You're always just there." That sentence stayed with me. Always just there. After he left, I wandered into a pawn shop downtown. I didn't know why. Maybe I was looking for proof that something of value could exist secondhand. That's where I saw the camera. A used DSLR. Scuffed edges. Solid weight. Priced at $180. I bought it with money I should have saved. I told no one. That camera became my secret. I started photographing people most others ignore. Elderly women waiting at bus stops. Janitors leaving buildings at dawn. Street vendors with weathered hands. Faces that had learned not to expect attention. I called the project Unseen. I posted anonymously. No name, no face. Just the photographs. Over 3 years, thousands of people followed the account. Strangers who saw what I saw. I kept the camera wrapped in a scarf at the back of my closet. It was the only thing I had ever kept just for myself. There is one person in my family who truly sees me. Her name is Margaret, my mother's younger sister. To my mother, Aunt Margaret is a disappointment. She never married. She moved to Carmel's Shore, California 20 years ago to open a small cafe with a ceramics studio in the back. She wasted her potential, my mother likes to say. Margaret says something different every Sunday night when we talk. "You don't need permission to live," she tells me. 3 weeks before my parents' anniversary, she changed everything. "Alina," she said gently, "I sent your work to a gallery owner I know. That gallery would soon email me." And that night, standing in a room full of people as my parents erased me, I finally understood something. I had been invisible long enough. I stayed in the kitchen for a long time after I excused myself, long enough for the laughter to rise again in the other room, long enough for dessert plates to be cleared without me, long enough for the familiar feeling to return, the one that says, do not make a scene, do not embarrass anyone, do not take up space. I looked at my reflection in the dark window above the sink, the black dress my mother approved only because it disappeared into the background, the tired eyes, the face that people forget. For years, I thought strength meant endurance. It meant swallowing disappointment and calling it maturity. It meant being reliable even when it hurt, especially when it hurt. That night, something shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet internal click like a door unlocking. When the party ended, I helped clean. Of course I did. I boxed leftovers that I would never be offered. I wiped counters already spotless. Rachel hugged me on her way out. Thanks so much for everything, she said. We could not do this without you. She did not mean it, or maybe she did, but only in the way people mean furniture is essential to a room. I drove home alone. The streets empty, the radio off, every word replaying in my mind. Someone needs to stay behind. When I got to my apartment, I did not cry. I opened my laptop. I reread the email I had nearly deleted weeks earlier. Hello, this is Marcus Halley from Seabright Gallery. I have been following your work unseen. We would love to discuss the possibility of a solo exhibition. I stared at the screen until my hands stopped shaking. Then I replied, yeah, I would love to talk. The meeting was scheduled for the following afternoon. I took the day off from my bookkeeping clients for the first time without guilt. I brewed coffee. I sat by the window. I waited. Marcus Halley was kind but direct. He spoke about composition and emotional honesty. He spoke about timing and opportunity. He said words I had never heard applied to me before. Important, necessary, relevant. He wanted to host a solo show in 6 months. He wanted new work. He wanted me in California. When the call ended, I sat in silence, my heart pounding. My life suddenly split into 2 possible paths. One stayed exactly the same. I would watch the children. I would manage holidays. I would grow older, quietly useful and unseen. The other was terrifying, uncertain, mine. I called Aunt Margaret. She did not hesitate. Come stay with me, she said. We will figure out the rest. The next morning, my mother called. She wanted to finalize Hawaii plans. She spoke as if nothing had happened, as if the night before had not carved something raw inside me. You will stay at the house while we are gone, she said. The children are more comfortable there. Make sure you use the guest room. Your father does not want the couch worn out. I listened. I said nothing. Then I said something I had never said before. I will not be here. Silence. Sharp and sudden. What do you mean you will not be here? My mother asked. I mean, I will not be watching the children. I will not be staying behind. I am not available. Her voice changed. Confused, then offended. Do not be dramatic. This is family. No, I said quietly. This is convenience. She accused me of selfishness, of abandoning responsibility, of overreacting. I did not argue. I packed. I booked a one-way ticket to California, not Hawaii. When my parents left for their vacation, they did not say goodbye to me. Rachel sent a text. I hope you calm down soon. I landed in Carmel's Shore on a foggy morning. Aunt Margaret was waiting. She hugged me like she had been expecting me all along. Welcome home, she said. And for the first time, I believed her. California did not ask anything of me. It did not need me to arrive early or stay late. It did not care if I was useful. The fog lifted slowly each morning like a curtain. The ocean breathed in and out. Aunt Margaret's cafe smelled like coffee and clay and warm bread. For the first time in years, I woke up without a schedule built around someone else. The first week I slept like my body had been waiting for permission. Margaret did not question it. She slid plates of food across the table. She asked only one thing: "Are you happy here?" I did not know how to answer that yet. I walked the streets with my camera, not hiding it, not rushing. People noticed. Some smiled. Some asked questions. Some simply existed in front of my lens without flinching. I photographed fishermen mending nets, older women walking alone along the shore, baristas wiping counters at closing time, people who were not performing, just being. Marcus visited the cafe 1AFTERNOON. He recognized me instantly. "You see differently," he said. "That cannot be taught." We planned the exhibition. He wanted the theme to remain unseen, but expanded. Not invisibility as weakness, invisibility as endurance. I worked every day, not because I had to, because I wanted to. Back in Connecticut, the silence grew loud. My mother sent emails. Long ones, carefully worded, about disappointment, about sacrifice, about what people were saying. I did not respond. Rachel called once. She cried. She said she was overwhelmed. The nanny had quit. The children missed me. I listened. I felt the old reflex rise, the need to fix. I did not give in. "I am sorry you're struggling," I said, "but I cannot come back." She hung up. The exhibition date approached. Posters went up around town, my name printed clearly beneath the title. Elena Moore. Seeing it felt unreal, like watching someone else's life unfold. Opening night came quietly. No fanfare, just people walking in, looking, pausing, feeling. A woman stood in front of one photograph for 10 minutes. She wiped her eyes. She thanked me. That had never happened before. Not to me. The gallery sold 7 pieces that night. Marcus hugged me. "You are no longer emerging," he said. I went home and cried. Not from sadness, from release. The next morning my father called. His voice was stiff. "We heard about the show." I waited. "Your mother is embarrassed," he said. "People from church saw the article." I smiled for the first time during one of his calls. I am glad they did. He did not know what to say. Neither did I. Weeks passed, then months. I moved into a small apartment above a bakery. I paid rent with money I earned from my work. Not favors. Not obligation. I stopped apologizing in my sentences. I stopped explaining myself. One evening, Aunt Margaret asked, "Do you think they will ever understand?" I thought of the apron, the driveway, the dirty plate in my hands. "Understanding is not required," I said. "Respect is." She nodded. Some people remain invisible because they are ignored. Others because they are finally free to choose when to be seen. Winter arrived gently in Carmel's shore. No snow, just cooler mornings and longer shadows. I learned the rhythm of my new life. Morning walks, coffee at the bakery downstairs, hours lost behind the camera, evenings shaping photos in clay beside Aunt Margaret. The quiet no longer scared me. It felt earned. The gallery invited me to speak at a small artist talk. I almost said no. Old habits. Do not draw attention. Do not take space. Marcus looked at me steadily. "This is part of being seen," he said. The room was small, maybe 20 people. I stood in front of my photographs, hands trembling, voice unsure at first. I spoke about invisibility, about usefulness mistaken for worth, about how people disappear when they stop demanding to be acknowledged. No one interrupted. No one looked bored. Afterward, a young woman approached me. She said, "I feel like this every day, like I am only valuable when I am needed." I told her she was already valuable, even if no one else had said it yet. That night, I received an email from my mother, short this time. "Your father had a health scare. Nothing serious, but it made us think." I read it twice. I waited. Then I replied, "I hope he is well." That was all. Guilt tried to creep in. It always does. But guilt is only powerful when it has somewhere to live. I did not make room for it. Months later, Rachel showed up, unannounced, standing outside the cafe. her hair pulled back, her eyes tired. She looked smaller without an audience. We sat at a table near the window. She talked about the kids, about Evan working late, about how hard everything felt. I listened. Finally, she asked, "Why was it so easy for you to leave?" "It was not easy," I said. "It was necessary." She stared at her hands. "I did not know how much you did," she said. "I thought you liked it." I almost laughed. "Instead," I said, "I liked being loved." She did not respond. When she left, she hugged me awkwardly, not asking, not demanding, just hugging. I did not know what would come next. Reconciliation, distance, something in between. But I knew one thing: I would never again stay where my presence was mistaken for obligation. The ocean continued its endless movement, unconcerned, unapologetic, and slowly, so did I. Spring returned to Carmel Shore quietly. Wildflowers along the cliffs, windows open in the morning, light spilling across the floor of my apartment. I no longer counted time by family events or deadlines built around other people's needs. I measured it by finished work, by calm mornings, by the steady sense of being whole. The gallery offered me representation, not temporary, not experimental, permanent. I signed the contract with hands that did not shake. One afternoon, a letter arrived. Handwritten, my mother's careful script. She wrote about pride, about how people spoke highly of me now, about how she always knew I was talented. I folded the letter. I did not respond. Some words arrived too late to change what they broke. I visited the coast alone that evening, camera in hand, watching a woman sit on a bench facing the sea. No phone, no company, just presence. I took the photograph. It became my favorite. I titled it "Not Waiting." Months later, it hung in a national exhibition. Visitors stood in front of it silently, some longer than others. A reviewer wrote, "This artist understands what it means to reclaim oneself." I clipped the article. I placed it in a drawer, not to prove anything, but to remember. Aunt Margaret and I celebrated with coffee and pie. She raised her fork and said, "You stayed." I corrected her gently. I left. Back east, my parents aged. Not dramatically, just quietly. The way people do when control no longer works. Rachel sent pictures of the children, sometimes with messages. "They miss you." I reply when I want, how I want. Love no longer comes with conditions. On the anniversary of the night, everything changed. I returned to that memory. Standing in a room with a dirty plate, 30 people watching me disappear. That woman is not gone. She is part of me, but she is no longer in charge. I am. I was not born to stay behind. I was not created to fill gaps. I was not meant to disappear so others could shine. I was always meant to be seen, on my terms, in my time, in my life. And this time, when I walked away, I did not leave anything behind at all.